Sábado 14 de marzo, Chase Center. Boletos a la venta ya en Ticketmaster.com.
Ricardo Arjona en San Francisco. Se parte de la historia.
15 years ago, PG&E launched Power Pathway, an education and job training program developed to increase the number of skilled workers in the energy industry. Since then, 85% of the graduates have been hired by PG&E or the construction utility industry, focusing on students in underserved communities, women, and military veterans. Power Pathway is helping the next generation of PG&E energy professionals build a better future for themselves and a clean energy future for California. To learn more, visit pge.com/powerpathway.
Say you're a coach in Chase Center and need to draw up a last-second play. Or you're a fan in Section 212 craving nachos. AI from Google Cloud can help with both. The Warriors are using AI from Google Cloud to break down every move on the court, helping coaches game plan. And for fans, the same AI powers the mobile app, giving you personalized content, highlights, and yes, nachos ordered from your phone. With AI, you're always in the game, even off the court. Google Cloud, the official AI partner of the Golden State Warriors.
The Warriors and Chase Center are teaming up with DoorDash to fight food waste and food insecurity, one event at a time. Through our Pass the Plate program, all unserved food from Chase Center events is safely packaged and delivered to local nonprofits to help people in our community who are experiencing food insecurity. Thousands of meals have already been donated this month. To learn more, visit chasecenter.com/passtheplate.
All members of Dub Nation know 2 essential truths. 1, the Warriors have the best point guard in the history of the game. And 2, the very best planes in the sky are United. New planes are joining the United fleet every week, decked out with Bluetooth connectivity, screens, and power at every seat, and bigger overhead bins to fit everyone's carry-on, or giant foam fingers. Download the United app and book your next trip today. United Airlines, proud to be the official airline of the Golden State Warriors.
RingCentral's AI receptionist uses voice AI to answer on the first ring, so you'll never miss a call again. In just a few minutes, you can personalize your own AI receptionist to answer questions, route calls, schedule appointments, and even send texts in multiple languages. Plus, it's easy to scale. Create unlimited AI receptionists across any phone system. It's all powered by one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
The Curry, pump fake, flyby, 3-ball. With the buzzer sounding!
You've been listening to Golden State Warriors basketball on the Warriors Radio Network. Presented by United Airlines. For tickets, visit warriors.com or call 888-GSW-WHO.
Don't you wish you were here?
Podcast has been brought to you by Geico. Switch and save. Get more with Geico.
Now Cryer goes away, ball goes to Santos, double clutch, it's up, it's no good. And the game's over. And the Warriors have let a great opportunity slip by. They had a chance for a winning road trip. They had a chance maybe to go 3-1 in this 4-game stretch. But it's yet another in a long line of games that have gotten away from the Warriors this year. They fall back to 500 and will try to redeem themselves tomorrow night at home on the back end of the back-to-back as they take on the Chicago Bulls.
Well, as he so often does, the great Tim Roy summed it up perfectly. A great chance slips through the Warriors' fingers. They lose in Salt Lake City tonight to the Utah Jazz. Final score 119-116. Welcome in. This is Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. I'm Mark Grandy with you for the next at least hour or so. We'll go as long as you guys want to keep talking about this Warrior loss. And If you're frustrated, maybe you want to talk for a while. But if you're so frustrated, maybe you're over this. But a really, really rough Warrior loss, as you heard Tim Roye say. Now a losing road trip. 1-2 on the trip. You return home for the Bulls tomorrow, so you don't have a lot of time to think about this game tonight, which at times can be a good thing, but we're not thinking about tomorrow. We're talking about tonight. It's kind of funny that the way things can play out, because if you would have asked me ahead of this road trip in Houston, in OKC, and in Utah, would you take a 1-2 road trip? You asked me, hey, Grandy, I got a question for you. Grandy, would you take a 1-2 road trip for the Warriors here? I probably would have said yes. You come home 32-32. Would you have taken that? And I probably would have said yes. I wouldn't have been incredibly happy about it, but I probably would have said, yeah, I'll take 1-2 because I'm scared about the possibility of them going 0-3. So I would have taken 1-2. But then you win the first game of the trip in Houston in kind of definitely surprising fashion, but honestly, really inspiring fashion. You played a great game, and you beat nearly a fully healthy Houston team while you were nowhere near full strength. And then you go into OKC, and I get that you lost that game, but it was a 7-point loss, and you were in that game. You were down by just a couple of points with 2 minutes left. You were in that basketball game. You could have won it. Honestly, that was as inspiring and as encouraging as a loss can get, in my opinion. So you're leaving that experience of that portion of the road trip feeling pretty darn good about yourself. And then you follow it up with what tonight's performance was. Man, that was ugly. And it changes the way you've been feeling entirely about this team and about this road trip. Suddenly, they found a way to make a 1-2 trip, which I would have taken. They made it possible for this 1-2 trip to feel like a failure. And now you look at them being at 500, 32-32, only a half game ahead of the Clippers for the 8th seed in the Western Conference, which for me, in my opinion, should be the Warriors' only goal going forward. And they couldn't quite figure it out, 119-116, and they lose this game. Look, there's a number of reasons why the Warriors lost this game. Their defense was largely pretty bad against Utah for the majority of this game. Utah scores 28 or more points in all 4 quarters. They go 29 in the first, 30 in the second, 32 in the third, 28 in the fourth. There was never a quarter where you felt like the Warriors played really good defense in this game. They committed far too many fouls. They were called for 20 fouls in this game. So many of them were while Utah was in the act of shooting. They got to the line 29 times. They made 27 of theirs. The Warriors got to the line 21 times, but made just 14. More on that in a second. But there's the Warriors did not play good basketball for the majority of this game. I thought the plan offensively was strange for big chunks of this game. This is a Utah team that specifically now, but even throughout the course of the entire season, does not defend in the paint well. They do not block shots. They have very little rim protection inside. And this is also a Utah team right now that's without Walker Kessler. That's without Yusuf Nurkic. That's without Jaren Jackson Jr. That's without Lauri Markkanen. They're down like all 4 of their biggest guys and their best rim protectors. And the Warriors decided for some reason, you know what? The best strategy to beat this team and to beat this defense is to shoot 52 threes. 52 threes against this Utah team. It doesn't make much sense. Part of the reason why the Houston win to me was so inspiring was because it showed a very clear pathway for the Warriors to score offensively. And it was without Steph and without Jimmy, and in that game in Houston, without Porzingis and without a number of others, without Moody and without Will Richard and without GP2 as well in that game, they found a way to score enough points, although it was a relatively low-scoring game, but they found a way to score enough points by getting into the paint, by breaking down defenses off the dribble, by scoring in the paint. And it feels like they completely went against that today. Now, they did outscore the Jazz in the paint in this game, 48-46, so it was very, very close, but it was a lot more apparent in the second half. In the first half for the Warriors, they got outscored 26-18 points in the paint. 18 points in the paint in the first half for the Warriors. That's frankly unacceptable against this Utah defense. In the second half, the Warriors outscored the Jazz 30-20 points in the paint in the second half. That's more what it should have been like, and as a result, despite being outscored in the paint by 8 in the first half, they still won the points in the paint battle because that's how good it was in the second half. I don't understand why it wasn't that case in the first half. I cannot get it through why this is not a more consistent plan of attack for the Warriors offensively. It's almost just at times when they're down Steph, they lean into the three more often, which is kind of counterintuitive because you take away your best three-point shooter and the best three-point shooter the game has ever seen, you feel like maybe you should go away from the three-point line a little bit more. And I felt like that's what we saw on Houston, and it's why I kind of felt like the Warriors had turned a corner as too aggressive, but found something in that Houston game and really even the OKC game, although the offense just really struggled in general. They could not make a lot of shots, and OKC's defense is really, really, really good, one of the best in the entire league. But it felt like in that Houston game, they might have found something. And then this game happens, and it kind of feels like the Warriors are back to square one in terms of the plan offensively. Now, it's not always going to be the case. If you're going up against a team similar to OKC that maybe is just impenetrable inside, that does not allow drives and are really good at cutting off passing lanes inside, then you might have to vary your plan of attack. But against this Utah team, first of all, they're bad defensively across the board, but they can definitely be got inside. As we saw in the second half tonight, I don't think the Warriors should be putting up 52 threes. Now, if you're shooting 40% from deep the entire game, maybe, like if you're just on fire and they're going in, like, okay, I could see that. But there was very few moments in this game where you felt like the Warriors were in any kind of rhythm offensively from downtown. Guy goes 1 for 7. Guy was great in this game. This is not his fault, but 1 for 7 from downtown, that's too many three-point attempts in my opinion. Draymond was 1 for 5, made his first one, 0 for 4 after that. GP2 was 1 for 5 in this game. Yeah, I would be comfortable with those guys taking a lot fewer three-point attempts. Quentin Post cannot hit the broad side of the barn from outside the paint right now. He was 0 for 6 from downtown. I don't know what's gotten into his shot this whole year, really, but specifically of late, I just don't have enough faith in the majority of these shooters that were playing for the Warriors tonight to make me feel like 52 three-point attempts was the right idea. And it would be one thing if when you weren't shooting threes, you were not having success going into the paint. But the Warriors were great in the paint, particularly in the second half. They were 43 for 99 from the field and 16 for 52 from downtown. So if I can do that math in my head really quick, that would be what? 27 for 47 on twos? 27 for 47 on twos and 16 for 52 on threes? That's a pretty gigantic difference in terms of efficiency. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me for the Warriors tonight. Now, we can talk about that as maybe one of the larger reasons why the Warriors lost this game. In my opinion, it was the plan of attack offensively. I think there was a pretty distinct change from the Warriors' first half to second half in terms of, hey, let's get to the paint. We can attack them in there. So that is, I think, reason one for me. But if we're looking for a more specific reason, I mean, it's just as simple as, oh my God, this is a Utah team that is now 20-45. Their 20th win was tonight, 119-116 over the Warriors. But even if maybe you don't have your best game, and the Warriors shooting the basketball tonight did not, 31% from downtown, again, 16 for 52. Even if you don't have your best game, you probably still should be able to beat this Utah team. This is the Utah team, as I mentioned earlier, down like all of their tall players, and some of their tall players are some of their best players like Lauri Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr., who they acquired in a trade. Also down, of course, Nurkic for the season, and Walker Kessler, he has basically missed the entire season this year as well. They're also missing a couple of other players, and did you notice what they did down the stretch? Keontae George, who's one of the more exciting scorers in the NBA, has really broken out of his shell so far this season. They did not close with him. I'm not telling you that Utah was actively trying to lose the game, but we know Utah, they don't play some of their best players in fourth quarters. It's what they do. It's why they got fined by the NBA earlier this season I believe it was in February. Yeah, last month. They got fined because they refused to play Jaren Jackson Jr. and Lauri Markkanen in fourth quarters of tight games. And then how did Utah respond to that fine? They said, you know what? We're going to give JJJ a knee surgery and rule him out for the rest of the season. And Lauri Markkanen's been out for like 2 weeks as well. Take that, NBA. Now we're not going to play him for the entire game. So my point is, Utah's not that interested in trying to win basketball games right now. So if you are an opponent, and specifically a relatively competent opponent as the Warriors are, I mean relatively, they're a 500 basketball team, right? They were a lot worse teams than this Warrior team across the NBA. Like a lot worse than this Warrior team. Even if you are not playing your best basketball, as the Warriors were not today, you feel like you should be able to beat this Utah team. And they would have. The Warriors would have, if only they would have made their free throws. Warriors lose this game by 3, 119 to 116. They missed 7 of their 21 free throws, so they were 14 for 21 from the line. On the surface, that's not an absolutely terrible number. You got to the line 21 times. That's not bad. You made 14. You want to make, of course, more than that, but over the course of an entire game, that's not a terrible, terrible number. Utah, though, got to the line 29 times, and they made 27 of them. So part of the story is, of course, the Warriors missing. It's also Utah getting to the line 29 times, and that is far too many for the Warriors to allow. The defensive attention to detail, it was lacking for the Warriors, allowing Utah to get to the line 29 times. It kind of felt like the end of the OKC game all over again, where it was just a parade to the line for SGA. That's a little more understandable because SGA is probably going to win his second consecutive MVP. I don't know if any of you saw what he did today versus Denver. He almost had a 35-point triple-double and hit the step-back game-winning 3 just before the buzzer. He was awesome. Once again, he's always awesome. He's now tied Wilt Chamberlain, by the way, for most consecutive 20-point games in NBA history, which is just an absurd number, and I guarantee you I would be very surprised if he weren't to set that record the next time that he plays. But you give up a lot of free throws to SGA, that's one thing. You give up a ton, 29 of them to Utah, that's another thing. That's half the conversation. The other half is the Warriors at the free throw line. In the first 3 quarters, they only got to the line 8 times in the first 3 quarters. They made 7 of them, though. They were 7 for 8 from the free throw line in the first 3 quarters. Then in the fourth quarter, you had some good things happen. They got to the free throw line a lot. And do you know why they got to the free throw line a lot? It's because they went to the paint. They went to the paint over and over and over. It was Guy Santos driving and scoring or dishing to GP2 on multiple occasions. It was Melton over and over and over getting into the paint and scoring. He scored 15 points in the fourth quarter, made a couple of threes and made 3 free throws, but the majority of his scoring was because he was getting into the paint. So you got to the line because you were aggressive in terms of trying to score from the inside. That's the good thing. The bad thing was, though, in the fourth quarter alone, you missed 6 free throws. You were 7 for 13 in the fourth quarter from the free throw line, and the number 1 offender was Brandon Podziemski. Got to the free throw line 4 times, 2 separate trips, 4 total free throws in the fourth quarter, and he missed all of them. He missed all of them in the fourth quarter. 0 for 4 from the free throw line was Podziemski. Down 6, the Warriors were early in the fourth quarter, and Podziemski got to the line and missed both free throws. The lead pretty quickly was right back up to 10 after that. And then late in the final couple of minutes of the fourth quarter with the Warriors down 3, he got to the line again and missed both once again. He was 0 for 4 from the line in the fourth quarter. Draymond in a tie game, the Warriors were down 1. He had an opportunity to give them the lead. He split a pair. Guy Santos also split a pair in the fourth quarter as well. But you can't have that. A game in which you lose by 3, you miss 6 free throws in the fourth quarter, you get outscored as a team by 13 points from the free throw line in a game in which you lose by 3. Yeah, that's the difference in this basketball game. That is the difference in this game. Sometimes basketball is a pretty simple game, and tonight it was pretty simple. If you make your free throws, you're going to win. If you don't, you're going to lose. And the Warriors lost this one tonight. Like, to put it in perspective, like, what does it take to lose to this Utah team? A lot of things have to go well for them and go wrong for you. It's just the reality of what it is for a team in Utah's general spot in the standings, right? They came in tonight 19-45. 19-45. The only team worse than them in the Western Conference, the Sacramento Kings. And the Sacramento Kings are an absolute joke of a basketball team this season. They're 15-50. That's the only team worse than the Utah Jazz. Now, there are 3 teams in the East with worse records than Utah, but only the Kings worse than the Jazz in the Western Conference so far this season. They have to have a pretty good game, and you have to have a pretty bad game, and that's what it was for the Warriors. It wasn't like an incredibly terrible game, though. Like, if you would have asked me, Warriors lose tonight, how does it happen? I would have said, well, all right, struggling to shoot the basketball, a refusal to go inside, which was certainly the case in terms of scoring inside for the first half. But I also would have cited probably like 22 turnovers. Like, in order for the Warriors to lose to this Utah team, I would have said it probably would have taken something like 22 turnovers to lose this game. They committed just 10 turnovers. They won the turnover battle. The Jazz committed 7 more turnovers, and the Warriors scored 6 more points off of turnovers. You know how hard it is to lose to the Jazz when you win the turnover battle like that? It's pretty difficult, and the Warriors found a way to do it. Now, there were some positive performers tonight. I thought Guy Santos was great. Once again, we'll talk more about that coming up as well. It was kind of strange the way the Warriors split up DeAnthony Melton's minutes. We'll talk about that, and it was great to see Seth Curry back, and he played just 12 minutes, but he was effective in those 12 minutes. I honestly would have liked to see him put up a few more shots because he was one of the few Warriors making shots. He finished with 13 points in those 12 minutes, 4 for 6 from the field, 2 of 3 from downtown, but just not enough offense and not smart defense by the Warriors in this one. And you put all that together, and they find a way to lose to Utah. Final score 119-116. All right. 888-957-9570 if you want to weigh in. Again, that's 888-957-9570. This is Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Mark Randy with you. Let's go out to the phones. Again, 888-957-9570. Chardol's in Fremont, and he wants to weigh in. What's up, Chardol? You're on Warriors Wrap-Up.
Hey, Mark Randy. I'm a big fan of you. I tuned into 95.7 game after a Warriors game. Tough loss for the as the Utah Jazz dismantled the Golden State Warriors by final score of 119-116. I think the Warriors had so many chances to win this game tonight. I mean, they could clearly have beat this dismal Utah Jazz team. They have the worst record, 20-45. I mean, they had so many chances, but they're resilient. I know that this team can bounce back in their next game against the Bulls at home. But it was great calling to Warriors Wrap-Up, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Thanks, Chardol. You too. Always appreciate the kind words. They have a chance to bounce back. It is funny that the way things play out, because, again, I would have taken 1 and 2 on the road trip. But that was assuming a win against Utah, and you're headed home with the win, and you're feeling better about yourselves. But the way that this panned out, it doesn't feel that way anymore. This was one of the worst losses for the Warriors of the season, and this is a season full of those kinds of losses. There's been, for the Warriors of late, there's been some, I don't know, maybe embarrassing losses or not close, not competitive blowout losses. But in terms of like a game that's a game you have to win, this one is up there. There's a number of them for the Warriors this season, but this one is absolutely up there for the Warriors. There were so many of them early in the season. This was when this team was healthy, right? With Steph and with Jimmy, and they just could not get out of their own way in a number of different losses. I think about the loss in Orlando, when Orlando was without Banchero, and you got 34 from Steph. He was great in that game. Jimmy was also good, and you lost that one. I think of the game at home against Houston in which you lost when the Rockets were without Kevin Durant, and you found a way to lose that game. I think of the loss in Philadelphia. Remember that game where all you had to do was inbound the basketball down the stretch? You turned it over, and as a result, Philadelphia wins. That was in early December. You lost that game. A couple of losses against Portland when Portland was down their key guys. You had a 48-point game from Steph in Portland, and you lost that game. You had the 1-point loss in Phoenix in the middle of December. You had the Toronto. Oh, my God, I forgot about the Toronto one. In overtime where you lost by 14, but you had the game won in regulation, and you blew it down the stretch. So I could keep going on and on and on. It's kind of just bad news for the Warriors that there's so many of them to choose from, but there was a lot to choose from in terms of like, that's a game that you should have won that you did not win. And tonight was one of them. This wasn't ever one where you felt like you had it won and you blew it down the stretch. This just felt like we're over the course of the entire game. You blew it with individual moments here and there. And a couple of those moments were those free throws missed by Podziemski. And, Draymond splits a pair, Guy Santos splits a pair. Like, you want them to make both of them, but frankly, it's unacceptable for a player of Podziemski's stature. And I imagine some of you out there are going to scoff at me for even saying that, a player of Podziemski's stature. He's a quality player in this league. You can't go 0 for 4 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter. You just can't. I don't care if you're Shaquille O'Neal and you shoot 40% from the free throw line. You can't go 0 for 4 in the fourth quarter. You can't. You absolutely cannot do it. And frankly, without Jimmy and without Steph, and, they've been playing as well without Porzingis, this team is not a good free throw shooting team. And you need every free point you can possibly get because this is a team that is relatively offensive challenged right now. And it's still going to be that way when Steph is back. They're not going to suddenly become a top 5 offense in the NBA. They're going to have to do this on the defensive end, and they're going to have to take the free points that opponents get them, whether it's because they allow drives into the paint, whether it's because they foul you and you get to the free throw line. You have to take advantage. And the Warriors tonight did not, and now they're back to 500 at 32-32. This is the first time the Warriors are back at 500 since they were 16-16 late December, just a few days after Christmas. In fact, it is that game we're talking about, the loss in Toronto, where they had it won in regulation and lost in overtime. That loss sent them to 16-16. They've been above 500 since then until now. With tonight's loss, they're 32-32. That is rough. That is rough for the Warriors. And again, with what happened the other night on Saturday when the Warriors lost that game to OKC and the Clippers won, now you add in tonight's loss. And the Clippers currently, by the way, playing at home against the Knicks. They lead by 8 with 3.5 minutes left. If that holds on, the Clippers will move ahead of the Warriors in the Western Conference standings currently. If the Clippers knock off the Knicks and hold on in the next 3.5 minutes at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, the Clippers will be 32-32. The Warriors will be 32-32, and the Clippers will have the Warriors currently on the tiebreaker. Now, they do play one more head-to-head game, so the Warriors could tie it up, the regular season series. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but if the Clippers hold on and you refresh the NBA standings, the Clippers will be in the 8 and the Warriors will be in the 9. That's how dire tonight was. You needed it tonight. You absolutely needed it tonight, and you couldn't get the job done. You miss 6 free throws in the fourth quarter, and you lose. Final score 119-116. I got a funny text that came in on the Boxer and Gerson work injury attorneys text line. The 628 writes, Grandy, on your middle school B team could have shot better free throws in the Dubs in the fourth quarter. I appreciate the text 628. I see your texts often. They always seem to be, poking fun at my athletic abilities. I appreciate it. I will tell you, one, yes, I think I could have shot better free throws in the fourth quarter tonight. And two, I never played on my middle school B team. Are you kidding me? Only on my middle school A team. There's no doubt about that. But I appreciate the text 628. But you're right. I mean, that does sum up the game tonight for the Warriors. You missed 6 free throws in the fourth quarter, a game in which you lose by 3. It's hard to look past that. But again, I think there are larger issues as well. Larger issues for the Warriors that tackle a larger issue in terms of the way this Warrior team tries to get their offense, because it didn't make any sense to me. We're going to keep talking about that. Plus, we'll get into some of the individual performances. Podziemski, I know you guys want to talk about Podziemski. We will talk about him. I am enamored by Nate Williams. We can talk about Nate Williams as well. Great to see Seth Curry back. What can we expect from him going forward as well? I thought Draymond, honestly, despite only scoring 6 points, I thought Draymond was pretty good tonight, specifically offensively. And then Guy Santos. What more can we say about Guy Santos? He was awesome. Guy was awesome in this game tonight. And I don't know, can we make a case that Guy's been the Warriors' best player the last month? Like, since Steph went down, who's been the Warriors' best player? Has it been Guy? We'll talk about that and more. Plus, we're going to hear from Steve Kerr. It was a quick postgame from Steve Kerr tonight. I think Steve and all of Warriors media, they want to get home to the Bay ASAP, so it was a quick Kerr postgame. We'll hear from Steve and more when we come back. Warriors wrap-up continues. Mark Randy with you. 119-116. Jazz beat the Dubs. Back with more next on 95.7 The Game.
What's your financial future look like? At Pettinelli Financial Partners, we help you shape it. Whether you're planning for retirement, buying a home, or saving for something special, our professionals are here to provide clear guidance and smart strategies. Visit PettinelliFP.com today and take the first step toward a more secure financial future. The financial consultants at Pettinelli Financial Partners are registered representatives with and securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Stratos Wealth Partners, a registered investment advisor. Stratos and Pettinelli are separate entities from LPL Financial.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Neuropathy is a debilitating condition that is sometimes misdiagnosed. Symptoms can include pain, numbness, and tingling in your hands, legs, and feet. Neuropathy is a progressive condition that only worsens unless you get effective treatment. SF Bay Wellness is a leader in neuropathy reversal and uses FDA-cleared, non-invasive electric cell therapy to restore nerve function with no injections, no drugs, and no surgery. The treatments have a 95% success rate. If distance is a factor, ask about our virtual consultation option. Call SF Bay Wellness at 844-94-NERVE for the $99 neuropathy evaluation and receive a personal treatment plan that is tailored to your needs. Don't wait another day. Call 844-94-NERVE. That's 844-94-NERVE. Why keep suffering with the painful symptoms of neuropathy? You deserve to live a pain-free life. Start getting the treatment you need for your neuropathy symptoms. Call today.
All right, I need avocados, bananas, salad, steak.
Wow, does your grocery list have multiple pages?
No, but I skipped lunch, so now it's like my stomach is doing the grocery shopping. And besides, I'm earning cash back with Upside.
Upside? What's that?
Hold up, you haven't heard of it? Upside is a free app that gets you cash back when you shop at gas stations, grocery stores, and restaurants. And they added Lucky and Food Max stores, so we're pretty much covered wherever we go.
All those stores?
Yep, so not only are we getting a great deal on groceries, now we can earn cash back as well.
Okay, downloading Upside. Now let me copy your grocery list.
Great news! Lucky and Food Max are now on Upside. Download the Upside app and use the promo code SAVE9 to earn a 10% cashback bonus on your first grocery purchase. That's promo code SAVE9 for a 10% cashback bonus. Use promo code SAVE9.
Offers vary by user and location at participating merchants. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Zip HQ Inc. has an opening in San Francisco, California for a software engineer. Stacks Architecture, job code R3821-30-R. Work with software developers on building core software products using company stack and architecture. Work on framework and underlying database for company products. Salary range $150,000 to $170,000 per year. Remote work at home may be permitted in Bay Area. Current benefits and compensation include health, flex PTO, 401k, and stock options. Submit resume to apply@ziphq.com. Must include title, software engineer, Stacks Architecture, job code R3821-30-R in the subject line. Again, submit resume to apply@ziphq.com. Must include job title, software engineer, Stacks Architecture, job code R3821-30-R, in the subject line. Equal opportunity employer.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
I'm Boomer Esiason. My mom died from cancer. She was only 37 years old. She didn't have life insurance, and that was devastating for my family. That's why having life insurance is so important to me. Ethos makes it fast and easy. Get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. You can get up to $3 million in coverage with no medical exam.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/life. That's ethos.com/life. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Bounce pass to Draymond. The back cut, Payton goes up and hammered it down! Cody Williams, welcome to YouTube. Welcome to Instagram, TikTok, whatever.
It's go time from 95.7 The Game out of the University of Oregon. Make some noise for Mark Grandy.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
That Franco Finn intro doesn't quite hit as hard when it's after this kind of Warriors loss tonight, 119-116 to the Jazz. That highlight, though, that you just heard, shout out to my guy Cam bringing us back with it. The GP2 poster all over Williams, that was pretty impressive, and he hit his patented, I'm going to scratch the top of my head after. One of the highlights of this game for the Warriors, of which there were some positives, there were some individual moments. That possession where the Warriors had 4 offensive rebounds on one possession, Nate Williams had 2 of them, and he scored the bucket after his second and the Warriors' 4th offensive rebound of that sequence. How good was Nate Williams in this game? Played 13 minutes, had 12 points, 4 boards, 5 for 8 from the field, 1 for 3 from downtown. Had a steal that led to one of his own dunks. He was great in this game. The Warriors have found something in Nate Williams. Honestly, like I've seen enough from Nate Williams over the course of how many games did he play with the Warriors now? 4 games with the Warriors this season. 4 games with the Warriors this season. Honestly, I've been impressed. He scored 12 points tonight, had 18 points in that game versus the Clippers at home, played a good chunk of minutes because it was not really close in the second half, and the Warriors were down so many guys. In the blowout to the Lakers, his first game with the Warriors, he played 15 minutes, scored 7 points, but I've seen a decent enough shot from the outside. He's got the length, he's got athleticism, he's a hustler. You know you're going to get that kind of hustle from the G Leaguers and the two-way guys because they're trying to earn their way full-time onto an NBA roster. They want the fully guaranteed money, and they want the NBA minimum as opposed to the two-way or the G League minimum. So they're fighting for their professional lives, and they're fighting for a whole lot more money. So you know you're going to get that hustle from those guys. At times it's kind of, you got to be careful evaluating guys because sometimes it's just purely hustle and heart, and that's never a bad thing. But you also want to try to, measure just how talented an individual guy is. And besides the hustle and the want to, what marketable skills does a player have? And I think Nate Williams has a handful of pretty marketable skills. He's 6'5". He's got, I don't know what his wingspan is, but he looks long out there. He's got plenty of athleticism. He's not a terrible shooter, and it feels like he has really good basketball sense. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think he's the difference in the Warriors winning a playoff series or not, but I don't know. I think he's a positive player, and as long as the Warriors are lacking some wings, like as long as Moses Moody is out, right? As long as Will Richard is out, Nate Williams should continue to play. And frankly, I wouldn't be upset if he plays more minutes than he has been of late. I think he's been a really positive player for the Warriors. He was great tonight. What about Guy Santos? What can we say about Guy Santos? I asked this before we went to commercial break, and I'll ask it again, and anybody that wants to weigh in can. 888-957-9570. Has Guy Santos been the Warriors' best player over the last month? Has he? 888-957-9570. You can answer that over the phone lines. You can give me a text, again, at 888-957-9570. That's the Boxer and Gerson Work Injury Attorneys text line. You can also join the conversation on YouTube at youtube.com/957thegame. He scored 15 points tonight, had 8 rebounds and 5 assists, did not turn the ball over once. He's now scored in double figures in 15 of the Warriors' last 17 games. In that, he has 16 points, 16 points, 18 points, 16 points, 17 points, 17 points, 17 points, 22 points, and 15 points tonight. He was great again tonight, and he's doing more than just the scoring, right? He's consistently near the leaderboards in terms of rebounds for the Warriors. His passing is becoming so much better. Some of the passes by Guy Santos tonight, my God. And it's not just like kick it out to the open three-point shooter or swing the ball along the perimeter. Those are pretty simple passes. There's a lot of you listening out there that could make some of those passes and get assists. Like you fall into assists in the NBA just based on the number of minutes you're out there on the floor for. Like, it happens. You're eventually going to pass to a guy who shoots and makes it. It's going to happen. But some of the assists for Guy Santos tonight, we're talking about in the paint, a crowded area, lots of defenders, using his body and his dribble to create the correct angle and a wraparound, dump off, bounce pass to a cutting GP2 perfectly on target. Like, Guy Santos is a good passer. Like, not just an okay, he's a good passer, and I don't think he had that in his bag. We know about the hustle. We know about the energy. We know about the grittiness and the toughness. He's a better shooter than I was giving him credit for coming into the season, and his passing is really good as well. Like, I don't think it's that crazy to say that Guy Santos has been the Warriors' best player over the last month. Now, I asked that, and someone did chime in on the YouTube chat, and let me go back and find it. YouTube.com/957thegame. Again, that's YouTube.com/957thegame. Where did this go here? Empire. Empire wrote, I had to scroll back quite a while. The chat is popping right now. Empire wrote, when I asked, is Guy the Warriors' best player over the last month? And Empire said Horford, then Guy. And Empire, you might be right. I wouldn't be upset with someone arguing for either of those two. What I will say about tonight is you noticed Al Horford's absence. You noticed it. One, he's a big that can make a couple of threes. It's what makes it's what makes Quentin Post's three ball and that disappearing on him a really, really big deal, because without without Al tonight, and again without Porzingis tonight, which has kind of been the Warriors' usual, they've only had him for 2 games, you are without a big that can space the floor. It's up to Quentin Post to do that on nights where he's the only floor spacing big out there. And his 3-point numbers this season are down 8 points, 8 percentage points. He shot 41% from deep last year. He's a tick under 33. So I guess closer to 7 percentage points. His 3-point shot down 7 percentage points this season. And I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but it has not been very good of late. If you go by month for Quentin Post, in October he shot 35%, almost 36. November, 31%. In December, up to 37%. In January, 35.5%. And then in February, 28%. And so far in 3 games in March, 25%. Quentin Post's lack of a 3-ball is really, really hurting the Warriors when Al Horford does not play. And some of it is what is happening with Quentin's 3. It is also just how good Al Horford has been. And it's why I'm not going to argue with Empire if he says that Al Horford has been the Warriors' best player over the past month. You might be right. Guy Santos is right there with him. But there's no doubt that Al's importance has been highlighted, I think, of late for the Warriors. And specifically with what happened tonight. The Warriors, they scored 116 tonight, but it didn't really feel like it was an incredibly smooth performance by the Warriors offense. They were creating some good looks, and in the second half, I thought it was a whole lot better because of how they got to the paint, but just all the missed threes. 52 3-point attempts for the Warriors tonight, and they made just 16 of them. It's just not good enough. And I guarantee you, if Al plays, and Al gets the shots that Quentin Post had tonight, he probably makes at least 2 of those 6 threes. Post missed all of them. And, man, they were all wide open threes. They were all wide open threes in this one tonight. All right, 888-957-9570. On this conversation, the 510 chimes in. No, it's not Guy. It's either Horford or Melton as the Warriors' best player over the last month. Melton's probably in that conversation as well. He's been kind of by default the Warriors' go-to scorer. He has at times been a volume scorer because the Warriors haven't really had anybody else that has like the wherewithal to just get up 20 shots on a given night. He has become a little bit of a volume scorer. His three-point shot has also kind of left him a little bit of late. But there's no doubt 510, and I appreciate the text, that Melton's involved in that conversation as well. It probably is a 3-person conversation. Al, Guy, and Melton. Those are the 3. And it sucks when 2 of those 3 guys can't play in back-to-backs and are on relative minute restrictions. That's kind of the reality for the Warriors at this point. All right, 888-957-9570 if you want to join in. Let's go out to Steve Kerr because he addressed the media postgame tonight in Utah after the Warriors fell 119-116 to the tanking Jazz. Yes, they are tanking, and yes, they beat the Warriors. This is one of the worst losses of the season for the Warriors. Let's hear what coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, had to say about tonight's loss.
What aspect were you most disappointed?
It's never felt like we got control of them defensively. You know, they scored 119 on us, 29 free throws. That can't be the case. I mean, we talked about it before the game, taking away the easy stuff. They made 27 points from the line. So too much fouling, too many plays where we were at a disadvantage based on whatever was happening offensively. And then so they outscore us by 13 points at the free throw line. That's the difference in the game.
What did you make of your shot distribution?
I mean, we weren't bad offensively. 31 assists, 10 turnovers. That's a great ratio. So we took care of the ball. We moved it. I didn't think we got great looks, but we got enough good looks to win. It was our defense that let us down. Seth was great. It's really fun to have him out there, and he can light it up in a hurry, and great scoring threat. One of the best shooters in the league. So it was really nice to have him back.
Is the plan for him to play tomorrow as well?
I don't know.
This team has been so good in the last couple of weeks with just going out there and giving it what they have. Are you concerned at all that because they lost to a team like this that might start it out?
Yeah, it's a quick turnaround. With Chicago tomorrow night, and we got to bounce back. So I'm not concerned about that. This is the NBA. You always have to be ready for the next one.
Anthony, 7 minutes in the first half, and obviously bigger workload on the second. Was that part of the plan going forward?
Yeah, because he's going to play tomorrow. So we're playing Melt for the first time on back-to-back, and so we wanted to limit his minutes to 20 tonight. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, that's Steve Kerr postgame. There's the interesting nugget. We were going to talk about Melton and his minutes, which was kind of odd. Played the first 7 minutes of the game, of course, in the first quarter, started the game, played those 7 minutes, then sat for the rest of the first half, then played 13 minutes in the second half, so up to about 20 for the entire game. And part of me was thinking in the first half, well, is he sick maybe, trying to give it a go, but maybe he isn't fully there. Was he nursing some minor injury? Was he not feeling great? And were the Warriors being cautious? We got the word, though, there from Steve Kerr that he played just 20 minutes tonight because he's going to play tomorrow night on the back-to-back. Part of me, maybe this is how my brain works. Sometimes I wonder, well, if he would have played his normal allotment of 25-plus minutes tonight, would the Warriors have won this basketball game tonight? Maybe they would have, but maybe they would have lost tomorrow night without him available. And if he played that many minutes tonight, maybe he wouldn't have been able to play tomorrow. So I guess it is a give and take, but it is a shame that they held him out from his normal minutes limit and they lost a really close game tonight. I suppose it'll be proven worth it if Melton helps them beat the Bulls tomorrow. So we shall see. You probably would think, even with a relatively limited Melton, you should be able to beat this Jazz team, considering they are more interested in losing than winning at this point. But we'll see how it all plays out tomorrow. But there's there's the update from Steve Kerr on DeAnthony Melton. I think in general, if we can put the result tonight aside, which is difficult to do because I know this is the tanking Utah Jazz the Warriors just lost to. But if we can put the result aside for just a moment, I think there is some good news that is couched in there, which is DeAnthony Melton is cleared to play in back-to-backs. Now, maybe not quite yet full minutes, his normal minutes in back-to-backs, but he's cleared to play in back-to-backs. And the Warriors, I mean, let's look at the schedule. I don't know off the top of my head how many back-to-backs they have left. They have tonight and then tomorrow, which is a back-to-back. They have a back-to-back in New York versus the Knicks, and then in Washington next road trip. That's Sunday the 15th, and then Monday the 16th. They have a back-to-back in Detroit and in Atlanta that same road trip. So that's 3 back-to-backs if we include tonight and tomorrow night. They have a back-to-back, let's see here, the 2nd and 3rd to last games of the season, Thursday the 9th of April and April 10th against the Lakers and in Sac versus the Kings. So including tonight and tomorrow night, 4 more back-to-backs. So we'll keep an eye on Melton's minutes throughout those. I don't think that Al Horford is ever going to be cleared for back-to-backs because his reason is more age-related as opposed to injury-related. Melton's is injury-related, and the further that he gets from his injury, and as long as he continues to feel good, he's going to get more and more minutes and be able to play in more and more games. So I do think there is some positive news that is couched in there. But in general, still nothing good happened tonight from the Warriors because we are at a point where you play a game against this kind of team. There's no such thing as moral victories. Like I just talked about how good Guy's been, talked about how impressed I've been with Nate Williams. There's other positives from tonight. I do think Draymond and his passing, he has found something in terms of taking care of the basketball again. 11 assists and no turnovers. I thought Draymond was under control, and a big reason why the Warriors scored 60 points in the paint. 48, but 30 in the second half, on pace for 60 points in the paint. If you take just what the second half was, it was because of Draymond's and his passing. That was one of the main reasons. It was also Guy and his driving and dishing and Melton's driving and scoring, but Draymond was a big part of that. There are some individual positives that we can take away, but when you lose to this team, given that you are in a postseason race in the standings, in the Western Conference standings, and you have a team that is actively not that interested in winning games on your schedule, you absolutely, no doubt about it, have to win that game. You have to win that game. No questions asked. This is a must-win kind of game for the Warriors, and they didn't get it done because you look at what's coming up on the schedule. You have Chicago tomorrow, not a good team, and also probably a team that's not too interested in trying to win. Although with the Bulls, they take care of the losing part when they try to win because they're just an incompetent organization and have been for a really long time. But it's not a gimme for the Warriors. Tonight proved that, I think. Now, you expect to have Porzingis back. Melton's going to play. Horford's going to play. You will be healthier than you were tonight, and you're at home. So you would like to be able to think that that's going to be a win. We shall see. But then you got Minnesota at home. Minnesota's playing really good basketball of late. That's going to be a really tough game. Then you go, listen to this road trip. You have a 6-game road trip, which begins next Sunday. So 6 days from now, your road trip begins in New York versus the Knicks, in Washington versus the Wizards. Okay, that's a one that you feel like you should win. Then in Boston versus the Celtics, in Detroit versus the Pistons, in Atlanta versus the Hawks, which, I mean, they've won, 6 games in a row? And Kuminga's been a part of 3 of those games. They're playing good basketball, and that's going to be an emotional game for the entire Hawks team because I'm sure they're going to, support their new teammate in Kuminga, which is going to be interesting. Not going to be a gimme game, no doubt. In Dallas isn't that interested in trying to win, so who knows about that one. But that's a really tough 6-game trip. In New York versus the Knicks, in Boston, in Detroit, in Atlanta on that trip. Then you come home, and in a little bit you have an okay homestand, Brooklyn and Washington. Then you go to Denver, you host San Antonio, you host Cleveland, you host Houston. This is a really tough stretch of the schedule for the Warriors. And if I were to ask you over the course of the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 games where you have all those really good teams, the T-Wolves, the Knicks, the Celtics, the Pistons, the Nuggets, the Spurs, the Cavs, the Rockets, over those next 14 games, which includes games against all those teams, what is the Warriors record going to be in those 14? Like 6-8 might feel like a win because of who they have on the schedule. And if you're 6-8 in the next 14 games, you're looking at being 38-40 with 4 games left, which means the best you could do is be 42-40, and you're just holding on for dear hope that you can hold the Clippers off and be the 8th seed. That's what tonight's loss means. It gives you just don't have as much breathing room as you would like. It forces you to be more closer to perfect than maybe this team is capable of in order to hold on to the 8th seed. Because you look now at what's going on in the Western Conference standings. You're 32-30. Let me give you an update on the Clippers score. They're currently taking on the Knicks at home in LA, and that game has gone final. The Clippers are 500 for the first time this season, and actually, in fact, since early November. They're 32-32, tied with the Warriors. I'm refreshing the NBA standings on the ESPN website. It hasn't updated just yet, but when it does, the Clippers will be past the Warriors. They will be the 8, and the Warriors will be the 8. Let me say that again. The Clippers will be the 8, and the Warriors will be the 9. And what that means is the Warriors, let's say the season ended tonight, which is, I know, a lot of people's least favorite saying, but if the season ended tonight, the Warriors would be the 9, the Clippers would be the 8, Phoenix, of course, the 7, and the Blazers would be the 10. Here's how the play-in tournament would play out if the season ended tonight after the result that just happened down in LA. Suns would host the Clippers. Winner of that game is the 7 seed and would take on, as it currently stands, the San Antonio Spurs. Loser of that 7-8 game would then host the winner of the 9-10 game, which would be Warriors hosting the Blazers. Let's say the Warriors win that game. They knock off the Blazers. They advance to the second play-in game. Let's say the Suns, they get healthy by that time. They beat the Clippers. So then it's Warriors versus Clippers in LA for the right to be the 8th seed and play OKC. At best, it's probably a pick'em because the Clippers at that point are probably healthy as well. Darius Garland and Kawhi Leonard and, a couple of other quality players. The Warriors at that point, you'd hope you have Steph, of course, and Porzingis and everybody else, not named Jimmy Butler. But it's not like that's a game that you feel like is a gimme. And also, the game against Portland isn't a gimme either. Portland, led by Deni Avdija, has beaten you 3 times this season. So the result of the Clippers moving past you in the Western Conference standings is a gigantic deal. And tonight's loss for the Warriors and the coinciding Clippers win makes that reality a lot more possible. In fact, again, as these standings update, the Clippers are now the 8 and the Warriors are now the 9. The Warriors have fallen out of the 8 seed in the Western Conference for, the first time in 4 months. It's been forever since the Warriors have not been the 8 seed. You haven't even had to look up at the Western standings. You knew where they were. They're the 8. They're the 8. They're the 8. Felt pretty safe for quite a while. Not anymore. They are now the 9. The Clippers are the 8. And if, as it currently stands, the Warriors would have to win 2 play-in games just to go to the playoffs for the right to take on the guy who's going to soon be the back-to-back MVP award winner in SGA and the OKC Thunder. Does not sound fun. Now, taking on Wemby and the Spurs doesn't sound fun either, but I think the bigger issue is the Warriors want to get a postseason series. I don't think anybody is fooling themselves into thinking the Warriors are legitimately going to make a run for the title. That's not what this is about. This isn't for me setting yourself up for postseason success. I think you'd rather play the Spurs than OKC because OKC, once they get healthy come the playoffs, is a monster that not many teams have much of a chance against, in my opinion. So you probably have a better chance to take a game or maybe 2 against the Spurs than you do against OKC. But I think the most important thing is just getting to a series in the first place. Because not that Steph's going to be happy with just a series, but you want to get to a postseason series. You want some of your young players to get experience in bigger moments, and the postseason is a big way to do that. And falling from the 8 to the 9 makes it a lot more difficult for you to get a postseason series, to earn a postseason series. So the 8's a big deal. It is a huge deal, and the Warriors need that 8 seed at worst. They're now 5 games behind the Suns for the 7. You can kiss that goodbye. It's not going to happen. And they're only a game and a half ahead of the Blazers for the Warriors now in the 9, the Blazers in the 10. They're separated by just a game and a half. And the Blazers, as we just talked about, they have 3 wins versus the Warriors this year. The Blazers are 3-1 versus the Warriors, so they have the tiebreaker as well. So as encouraged as I was after Thursday's win in Houston and Saturday's really competitive loss against the Thunder in OKC, that's completely wiped away for me now. And now it's kind of starting back from square one. Now, Porzingis plays tomorrow. Al Horford plays tomorrow. Maybe you get a good injury update from Steph Curry on Wednesday. Maybe Moses Moody's back tomorrow or perhaps as soon as Friday, and things begin changing. That is all possible, and things look up pretty quickly. But, man, it is hard to swallow losing to this Utah team when they're not – maybe we overemphasize it sometimes, saying they're actively trying to lose, but they are not that interested in winning basketball games right now. And the Warriors handed them a win with a free throw line performance for the ages in a bad way in the fourth quarter when they missed 6 free throws in the fourth quarter. They missed 7 in the game, but 6 of them in the fourth quarter. Podziemski was 0 for 4 in the fourth, and he loses the game by 3 points. It's hard to look past that in this kind of game tonight. All right. Warriors lose tonight. Again, the final score, 119-116. Up next for the Dubs, as we were just talking about, the Chicago Bulls in town, a back-to-back in Utah tonight, and at home versus the Bulls tomorrow, 7 o'clock with the tip, which means 6 o'clock with Warriors Live right here on 95.7 The Game. That game tomorrow is the last that Steph Curry has been ruled out for. Steph will be reevaluated on Wednesday. We don't yet know what the update is going to be on Wednesday, but there's a chance that he could play on Friday versus Minnesota. My guess is the update does not immediately say he's going to play on Friday, but nevertheless, it could be a pretty positive impact, and maybe Steph is back as soon as Sunday to begin the road trip in New York versus the Knicks. I know he loves to play at MSG. He's probably pushing for that. But of course, they're going to be smart about it. And if he has to not play in that game, he's not going to push it. But we'll see. That update is coming on Wednesday. So a big couple of days for the Warriors. Tomorrow, a game versus the Bulls. And then Wednesday, we all hold our breath and wait for a Steph Curry injury update from the Warriors. That will very likely happen while we're on the air here at some point on 95.7 The Game live every day, every weekday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So keep it locked on 95.7 The Game, specifically on that Wednesday for the Steph Curry injury update. We will also, of course, talk about Warriors and probably a lot of Niners tomorrow as well here on 95.7 The Game as well. Before I get you out of here, I want to remind you that you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco, an Odyssey Sports Station, and the home of the Golden State Warriors and Valkyries, always live on the free Odyssey app, coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Mark Randy. Thanks as well to Cam Williams behind the glass and Zach Green for setting us up tonight as well. Thank you for listening. I'll be back with you tomorrow night live from Chase Center. Warriors fall tonight. Again, the final score, 119-116, and they're back to 500 at 32-32. Have a good night. We'll talk tomorrow on 95.7 The Game.
Jason Smith and Mike Harmon. You can make fun of it if you want. You're listening to The Jason Smith Show with Mike Harmon.
Lights out. That's what this is.
And here they are.
What's going on?